Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem. Don't worry, you've not entered a parallel universe. I'm doing a Christmas collaboration with the lovely Jem from the Colour Cave here on YouTube, and we are doing this for her Cavemas event. So I'm really excited. It's for charity and somebody is going to be winning the piece of artwork that's produced at the end. So really exciting. Hope you enjoy watching. Okay, so I have received the artwork from Jem and I have no idea what she has drawn. We did bandy a few ideas backwards and forwards, but I ultimately left the final decision up to her. So I'm really excited to see the artwork for the first time with you guys. So let's open up our Colour Cave Happy Mail. Here we go. Oh, it's so exciting. So it looks as if we've got a little card or something for the winner there. So we are giving away this artwork, as I mentioned in the intro. So that will be for you. We have got an It's a Pencil sticker from Jem's wonderful catchphrase. Every time she gets a bog standard pencil in an art subscription box, it's a pencil. What else can you say? Love that. And then we've got the artwork itself. So exciting. So let's just take off this piece of vellum and have a look at the illustration. So this was one of the ideas that we sort of bandied around between each other. It was to have a Christmas gift box absolutely packed chocker full of art and colouring supplies, and she's just completely smashed it. So we've got two parcels here, one with Jem and one with Claire. So this is like our little Christmas box. We've also got what looks like a bowl of macaroni cheese, which, you know, favourite food. And yeah, all of these markers, pens, pencils. And we've got the flag up here. I think that might be, maybe I could do that in the Italian flag. I know Jem has Italian roots. I have Italian roots. So I guess this is things that sort of combine me and Jem together, which is just brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. She's definitely fulfilled the brief and then some. So yeah, fantastic. Love these lights as well. This is printed on really nice quality paper. So whoever gets this, I think I'm going to have to buy a frame for it and frame it, because it's going to be fantastic when it's done. I think it's going to be a really nice keepsake for somebody. So I'm really excited for whoever wins it. So I'll put that to one side, see what else we have. That's obviously some protective card. We've got a little note from Jem, another It's a Pencil sticker. So I tell you what I will do. Where's the other one gone? It's a pencil. We're going to put this inside the winner's envelope. We've already got some stickers in there as well. So the winner's going to get an It's a Pencil sticker. Here we are. And yeah, so note from Jem, and she has enclosed two Posca pens. We've got a silver and a gold. These will come in very handy this time of year. Thank you very much, Jem, for the little extras, little Christmas presents. Lovely, brilliant. Let's just get colouring. I can't wait to get this done and sent off to somebody. So I've got to think about colours that I'm going to use. Obviously we need a Christmas palette. I might even start off on these lights at the top just to make life a bit easier for myself while I decide what colours I'm going to use on this. So I will zoom you in and then make sure you're all lined up. Then I'm going to get some pencils out. I didn't know whether to use pencils or markers, but I think for these lights I am going to go for pencils. Now, like I said, it's printed on really nice quality paper. I believe it's Strathmore. So we should be able to use pretty much anything on this paper, pencil-wise. It has a very good tooth. It's a quality paper. So Christmas lights then. So I need to think of colours. Let's go for a green first of all. Let's grab some polychromos. I've got what's this one? Permanent green and grass green, and then we've got the light green, and I also want something a bit brighter than that, so I'm going to take out the cadmium yellow lemon, and then we should have a bright palette for these lights. So are we zoomed in enough? I think that'll do. Now then, lights. So I'm going to start off with the darkest one, permanent green, and we're going to go around the edge of these lights, but just slightly in from the line art itself, because we want to create a bit of a glow. And I'm just going to follow the shape around. Now we don't have an awful lot of room to play with, so you've just got to sort of gauge the amount of room that you've got to fill in your 4 colours. Then we've got the light green. This is just a really quick and simple way of colouring lights that just looks glowy. And you see how this last colour, this cadmium yellow lemon, really elevates. Oops. It elevates it into looking like a glowing light. And we need a few more layers on there to deepen up the greens a little bit. So just keep layering up your pencils until you've got something that looks a little bit like this. And you see, just colouring that little bit that we left on the edge just helps make that glow. So we'll use this cadmium yellow lemon around the light as well to emit that glow. Just really nice and lightly. Like I said, this paper is brilliant. I'm gonna have to get some of this. It's really just grabbing the pigment off the pencil without me having to do anything. And that's great for polychromos especially, because they are harder. And I think the paper plays an awful big part in how these pencils perform, as well as your, general technique. I also want to put a little bit of this light green around the outer edge of the bulb. So it's just sort of swapping and changing your colours. So you've got your darkest next to your lightest, and then you've got a bit darker again and light again. And it's just trying to create a bit of a realistic glow. So we've still got that little flash of green within the glow, but the yellow really helps to make it look like it's lit up. There we are. So once we've done all of the lights across, you can just imagine how lovely and glowy this is going to look. I recently did a Colour in Heaven design from illustrator Mariola Budek, and it was a gnome. You've probably seen it if you follow me on Instagram and wherever. It was a gnome, and it had all of these Christmas lights sort of wrapped around it, and it was exactly the same technique that I did then as I'm doing now. So if you did wonder about that, then this is how I did it. Okay, so we need to look at some other colours. Let's try, next to green, let's have a red. We could do red and green all across, couldn't we? But I don't know, when I do Christmas lights, I like to do every colour of the rainbow. I suppose we could have like, yeah, let's just do a red. Let's not overcomplicate things. So I have, just picking these at random, we've got middle cadmium red. What's this one? This is deep scarlet red. And then we want something a bit lighter, so we want to sort of move into the oranges a little bit. Is this one going to work? This is dark cadmium orange. I'm just wondering whether I've gone too dark there for that. Let me pick some more colours. I don't want it to look really desaturated. So let's start with deep scarlet red. That can be our darkest. Then we've got pale geranium lake, which is actually really, really close in tone. So I might even swap out and have the pale geranium as our darkest, and then move up to, let's say, what's this one? This is scarlet red. So we're getting into orange territory. I'm just not sure whether that one's darker of a colour, to be honest. This is quite difficult. I do like to pick colours just on spec, but I have to think about it. This is light cadmium red, and then for the lightest colour, let's try this orange glaze. So it is a reddish orangey palette, or an orangey red. We'll start off again with the Pale Geranium Lake, doing exactly the same as we did last time, so leaving that little bit of a gap. I think if I'd have gone with that first palette of reds, it would have just been too dark and it wouldn't have looked bright. I think this one definitely lends itself more to a glowy look. I think it might be an idea to get a little bit of a lighter colour as well. Let's have a look at this one, dark chrome yellow, to be our glow colour. And again, we'll put a bit of that on the outside as well. Very light pressure I'm using here, just to get that little bit of a faint glow. We don't want it to be a completely opaque shape around the light. We want it to just look like almost transparentish. And then just near the line art, we can start to make it a little bit darker. And maybe even add in some of the orange glaze. You can see the tooth of the paper quite clearly through this glow, and it does look quite nice. It's nice to have that roughness sometimes, that sort of, it's not perfect, it's not digitally inked or whatever, you know, it's got that grain of the paper showing through. It's a little bit rough, it's a little bit hand done, and I think that's nice to keep that sometimes. So I'm just looking at this light, and I do think we need to go a little bit darker just here. So I've pulled out that middle cadmium red again, and I'm just going to do a very faint line all the way around that outer bit, and I think that just helps make it look a bit more pop. It's okay, so make it look a bit more pop. That's my phrase. I need to put that on a sticker. Right, so I'll put these to one side, then we think of our next colour, which I think should be a lovely blue. So here I've got the phthalo blue, and then a middle phthalo blue, and not surprisingly, the light phthalo blue. And then for the lightest of the colours for the glow, we've got a light cobalt turquoise. So these go together really, really nicely. So it doesn't really matter which side you sort of put your darker part of the light. I'm just going to do it on this side. So if you did want to make it look a little bit more of a smooth glow, if you didn't want that texture that we were talking about, you can take a really soft white pencil. I've got a Prismacolor white, and just sort of work your way around the glow area that you've put in with medium pressure, and you will get more of a smooth glow look to it. And it's quite easy to blend it out to the white of the paper as well. So I don't know whether you can tell the difference. I've made a bit of a muck up there with the pencil, but I don't know whether you can tell. It's just a bit of a smoother, softer glow. I'm just trying to hard pressure get rid of that mistake that I've just made. And it just softens the whole thing. So whether you want to do that or not, it's totally up to you. But that is the option that you've got, depending on what you prefer, really. Whether you like to see the texture or whether you like it smoother. And when you use white, it always bleaches out the colours underneath, so you might want to put those back in very lightly over the top. And just most importantly is to keep your darks dark and your lights really light for that maximum contrast and maximum glow level. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Should we do a yellow? I think we should. So we'll start off with sort of like a darker yellow. I think we've actually got this one, which is the dark chrome yellow that we used with the red. And we can use that as our darkest colour on this one. So I'll do the same thing again and then pull out some yellow colours. So I've got the dark cadmium yellow. And then we want a really light, bright yellow. This one is light cadmium yellow. So that can be our light, bright glow colour. Put those layers in again. That one looks really glowy, doesn't it? Then I think we'll just repeat. So we'll go back to our greens, do the same thing again, green, red, blue, yellow, and I'll come back to you when that's done. Okay, the lights are done. I have got the Cold Grey 3 from the Polychromos just to fill in these tops of the lights. So you can imagine these being made of plastic or metal or something like that. And we don't want that to, we don't want to colour it a really bright colour to overtake what's going on with the bulb. So I'm getting a simple grey, very, very quickly just filling this in. Not filling it in the entire way because I do want it to have a little bit of a shine. But just sort of halfway, 3/4 of the way. And then we can pop back in with something a bit darker. So let's say the Cold Grey 5. And just do a little bit of darkness on this left-hand side. Again, it's all about maximising that contrast, so trying to make it look shiny. We need something really dark and we need a really light area. But it's very, very quick, as you can see. I'm doing it really, really fast. And that's basically it. So the lights are done. Now I've got to think about what we are colouring all of the Christmas goodies below. And I think I'll start off with the easiest things. That's normally what I do. I colour what I know first. And I know that I want my candy canes to be red and white. Very traditional, very simple. So I'm going to use some of the reds that we've already used in the Christmas lights. But before I do that, I do actually just want to add a little bit of paint pen to those Christmas lights. So I've got my paint pen here, it's our T-stroke paint pen, and I'm just going to put a few little dots of white here and there on the lights. And I think, I don't know, I just love adding white gel pen to things, or white paint pen. I'm not doing any kind of, you know, official system of dots here. It's just what I think on each one to give it a little bit of pizzazz. There we are. I don't know, I think that makes it look nice. I think it makes it look a bit shinier. Maybe we could add just a little bit on this light edge. I've got pencils creeping after me on this desk. Just a little bit on the edge over here. There we are. I like that. I like that it looks sparkly and more glowy. Okay, so yeah, let's concentrate on what we're doing here then. So I want to do these candy canes. I've got the middle cadmium red, and I'm going to colour the stripes, but I'm going to do it so that it shines in the middle. So I've got both sides of the candy cane in this dark colour, and then I'm just going to alternate and do the exact same thing. And just follow the shape, follow the curve. Try and keep all of your strokes the same thickness. Okay, and then let's try the light cadmium red. I don't think that the pale geranium lake it's too close to that colour, so it's not going to be different enough to be worth filling up the little white space that we've got. So we'll just jump a colour and we will leave a white stripe in the centre. Again, just making sure that you follow the curve. I'm talking as if you're colouring this with me, but obviously if you are colouring lights or candy canes, then this is kind of like a tutorial for that. So always leaving that little bit of white in the centre and making sure that on the head of the candy cane here that it curves enough to look like it's one straight shine line. Really hoping that makes sense. And I'll do the same on this other one. It's a very, very quick technique, but it's really quite effective. So same again over here. And it's just making sure you keep that curvature, because it really does matter if it's a bit off. You can tell, and it breaks the illusion a little bit. On the end, I just normally go right the way round. Is that the one? Yeah, light cadmium red. Keeping your pencils sharp as well, just to fill in these very small areas and keep them crisp. My pencil's probably not as sharp as it should be. But whoever wins this is getting the page warts and all. So it just shows you that I do not colour perfectly by any means. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Now you could leave the other sections of the candy cane white, the white of the paper, totally up to you. I do, however, want to add a little bit of light shading. So let's start off with a coal grey 1. See if that's dark enough to look like it's white, basically. We're trying to create the look of white by using grey to shade it. Exactly the same thing again, both sides. If you feel like you need a bit of a darker grey to maximise the contrast, go for it. I think I'm going to leave mine like this with just the 1% white grey, the 10% white grey, whatever you call it, whatever you call it. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave mine like that because I do want it to look really, really white. And I think if you go darker, you do run the risk of it becoming grey. But there we go. Hopefully you can see the difference that little bit of grey has made. Right, so what next? We've got markers, we've got a paint palette. Let's do a paint palette. So I think I will just copy the colours that we've used in the lights. That was going to keep it cohesive and, you know, looking like a limited palette, and it should hopefully bring it all together. So let's have some green then. We've got our permanent green. Let's colour in this little paint splodge. Permanent green. Then we've got grass green. And we did have, where's the little green gone? Oh, it's here. We've got light green. I don't think I'm going to use the cadmium yellow lemon on this one because I don't really need it to glow. But I do like to have just a little bit of colour gradient in pretty much everything that I colour, even if it wouldn't necessarily have that gradient in real life. There we are. And what next? Let's go blue. So exactly the same colours that I used in the lights. I wonder if your Christmas lights are up yet. your Christmas decorations. By the time you see this video, they probably will be. I do know that this video is going out after Christmas, a couple of days after Christmas, so you will have, Christmas is over by the time you see this. But on the date of filming this, which is, what date is it today? 26th of November, my decorations are up already, and normally I don't do it until the 1st of December. I refuse. It's too early, and then Christmas just gets anticlimactic and boring and it drags on. And I think that's happened as I've got older, just a little bit more disillusioned with everything, really. I think that's quite common. But my son was in the attic, he was getting his decorations down, he's all for it. And I said, go on then, bring them down and we'll put the living room ones up. So they're all up now. Okay, so the wooden palette itself, I'm making it wooden. It could be anything you want it to be, but I'm going to make mine wooden. I think I'm going to use the light colour brown ochre all over the back, and then we can do some wood grain with the walnut brown, which is, I think, the darkest of the Polychromos browns. I do want to get the background of it done first, because I can imagine that would sort of ruin the look of the individual grains in the wood if we then had to go over it with the lighter colour to fill it in. So that's why I'm putting this light layer down first, when usually I do start from dark to light. But I think when you're using particular techniques like wood grain, you should get your base down first. It's helpful to do that anyway. So with that walnut brown, then you want it to be really sharp, as sharp as you can get it. And I guess we want to sort of do it in the curvature of the palette. So let's see if we can do it. I'm sort of hit and miss when I'm doing wood grain. Sometimes it turns out really good and sometimes it doesn't. So, but at least we'll have the look of it. Again, it's probably not the most accurate way to draw wood grain, but it's not great. I think this is one of those times when the technique has gone a bit wrong. But I did say warts and all for this, so. Right, let's come back in with the brown ochre and start to deepen up some of the areas. This might help. So I don't want to do it absolutely everywhere. Just in certain parts. You can choose if you're colouring something like this and you're trying to do a wood grain, just select certain areas of it to blend a little bit. I mean, it doesn't look horrific. It just doesn't look as good as I wanted it to look, to be honest. I do, however, want to outline these paint splotches again, just to bring them back up, because I think they've sort of faded into the wood and it just doesn't look right to my eye. So let's grab a pen. I've got a 0.3 here. So I'm pretty sure Jem used like a 0.05 or something originally, because it is really fine. So I don't know whether to leave that alone. I think if I keep continuing to mess about with it, I might make it 10 times worse. Let's leave it for a bit and then I might come back to it at the end and see if I want to change anything up with it. But I think I'll just colour that in, just as like a little knot in the wood. I don't know. See, I'm fiddling with it again. Look, see, I cannot help myself. Just darkening up some of the wood grain areas. Just trying to give it a bit of variation to make it look like it's purposefully bad. Will anybody want to win this after? We will see. Okay. I'll leave it at that. Let's do the Italian flag. Let's go for that. So red, white and green is the Italian flag. I always get mixed up with the Irish flag because I'm half Italian, half Irish, or, you know, variations of that. So I do want to just quickly make sure, even though I've seen the Italian flag billions and billions of times. Yes, so green, white and red. I think I just said red, white and green, so I was wrong. So we'll start off with the green. We'll use the same green and red that we used as well for the lights, keeping it all coherent, cohesive. And here we go. So speaking of Italy, I am hoping, really hoping, to be able to visit the place where my nana was from. It's called Trieste and it's in the north of Italy. I believe it's on the eastern side, so northeast. And I'm seriously thinking of trying to make a little pilgrimage out there, sort of in her name. Go and see what she grew up, where she grew up and the things that she saw. I would really, really love to do that. I think it's going to be a bit annoying because I'm going to have to get flights from London to get directs. I don't really want to be doing swaps and changes, which is quite far away from me, but it'll be worth it in the end. But if anybody has been there to Trieste, I'd love to know what you think of it. Apparently it's a beautiful marina town and it's got lots and lots of gorgeous architecture. It has a castle, Miramar Castle. And yeah, I just really would like to go. I've always wanted to go because that's where my nana was from and I was so close to her. We were like best friends, mother and daughter, sisters, everything all in one, you know. It's just that perfect grandma relationship and I really, really miss her. Luckily, I still have grandma with us on my dad's side and I'm so lucky that we still have her and I'm making the most of our time together. But you know, when somebody's gone, you wish you'd asked them more questions and, you know, found out more about them. And I wish I'd had more opportunity with Nana to do that. But yeah, I think going to Italy it'd be nice to do it in her name and in her memory. So I'm just generally doing a bit of a gradient here without thinking about it because I was too busy waffling. So it looks as though we're going to have the lightest area in the centre of the colour. Just did that without even thinking about it. So I'm using this lightest green as a little bit of a blender. Polychromos, like I say, are quite hard. You have to build up your layers. I'm very impatient, so building up light layers is incredibly tedious to me. But really that's the only way you can make polychromos work. So it's not as smooth as I would like it to be. I didn't take the time to build up those layers. So I think what I'll do is just use a little bit of blending solution on a brush, just to help us out a little bit there. It's fine as it is, but it's not quite as smooth as I wanted it to be. So a bit of blending solution, just cover it over. Oops, daisy. I'm dropping everything today. And then I'll just use the brush to blend it slightly. Your pigments become easy to manipulate because you're melting the binder that's in the core of the pencil and you're just leaving that pigment behind, so you can manipulate the colour a little bit, much like you would with a watercolour pencil, and it can move slightly. Now you can overwork this, of course, so I am going to leave it because I don't want to ruin it, but I will probably come back in with the greens again on top of the blending solution because it does create a nice surface for you to then smoothly blend over the top. So while we're waiting for that to dry, let's get on with the red. Again, I've got the middle cadmium red. I think I might change up my colours slightly when we get to the centre because we did use an orange, which I don't want on the flag. So I might have to find a lighter red to use. So I'll go for the pale geranium lake for the middle colour, and then I'll find something a bit lighter for the centre of this section. So I am actually using these polychromos very much like Prismacolors. I'm not building up those light layers. I am using a lot of pressure, but So why didn't I just use Prismacolors, you're probably asking? I don't know, I just grabbed whatever was closest, and I do like to not use the same thing all the time, so that's my excuse anyway. Right, what other light reds have I got? So there is the Scarlet Red. I wonder if that would do. Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. So it is just edging into orange, but it's not too bad. I think I need to come back in with the middle cadmium red and blend that out a little bit. Okay, let's have a look. Right, so I want to just go back in with the green. Now that we've got more of a surface for blending, doing the same thing again, but hopefully we should get something a little bit softer and smoother and more seamless now. Okay, so I'm happier with that than I was before I used the blending solution, so that's good. We also have the flagpole to do, so I think I'm going to crack out the grey again. Let's go for this cold grey 3, and again just at one side of the pole, and then leave the rest of it white. Very, very quick and easy way of getting something to look a bit shiny. Just come in again with the cold grey 5. Very narrow line there. Just as we did on the bits of plastic or metal at the top of the lights, we're just making that look a little bit more like a metallic flagpole. Okay, what else? We've got a paintbrush here. We can use our walnut brown from the paint palette to be our brush handle colour, just with that brown ochre to have a little bit of variation there. And let me see, how about this brown ochre, and then give me a yellow that we've used, dark cadmium yellow. How's that? It's just putting colours together and you know, colours that you might not think to put together. People ask me how I choose my colours, and if I'm not using something like a colour catalogue or a palette, it really is just whatever, you know, I just pick colours. There's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. I do like to try and use the same colours over and over again in the same piece, as I've mentioned earlier. But what shall we do with the bristles? Shall we get some colour on those? Let's see. Let's imagine that we've just picked up some blue from our palette. So we won't colour the entirety of the bristles. And then the bristles underneath, the colour of those, I guess are like a brown. So we'll use that brown ochre again just to show the colour of the bristles. Just bring that walnut brown in just to deepen up this part of the brush. It does have a name, doesn't it? This metal part of the brush that holds the bristles. I can't remember what it is, but that's what we're colouring. And that looks a bit metallic now. Yeah, happy. Maybe I'll just put a bit of white on here. I don't know why, it's not realistic. Just looks cute. And a bit on this metal as well. Do I want to do some on the paint? I don't know. I find it really hard not to use white pen absolutely everywhere. Maybe I will do a bit of a shine on the edges, because it is paint after all, it is glossy. That's my excuse. There we are. Okay, so what's next? What would you have next? We have, let's do some markers then. We've done the paintbrush, let's do some markers. So I'm going to use that brown ochre to be the colour of the pencil wood. I can do that on all of these pencils. And then we can have different colours on the tips of the pencils. So let's have one that's green, one that's red, a blue one, and a yellow one. There we go. So we want to use that same colour. Imagine that we're using polychromos to colour polychromos. So we'll use that same colour for the barrel. And of course, we want a little bit dark at one edge. Same again with the red. Yeah, really pretty. So we have what looks like Copic markers here. So I'm going to need my grey again. I'm going to get the cold grey too this time because I don't want it to be too deep of a grey. And we will colour just the inside edge of the marker, leave the rest of it white. Same again here. And then Copic markers have a slightly darker grey bit at the bottom that holds the tip, the nib of the pen. So we need a bit of a darker grey. I don't want to go too dark with it though, so we'll just skip up for one colour and go for the cold grey 3. Same thing again. I always seem to do my darker pressure on the left hand side of an object, unless of course it's being overlapped like this one. Yeah, that is just about right. And then obviously for colours, again, we can decide what we want. I do want to keep it within this realm of colours, so let's go for yellow over here because it's furthest away from the yellow over there. And for the other marker, let's go green. Just colour that whole chisel in green and then just do that side of it a little bit darker just to show the light. I think I've got another 2 Copics here, so I'll do exactly the same again. Make sure that it still looks like a white cap, but we can change the colour of the top of the cap to whatever it is inside. Cold grey 3, just to do that bit in the middle. And then as for the colours, we did use a purple earlier on the paint palette, so let me grab that again. This is the violet. That can be the colour of this marker. There we are, so we've got a violet Copic. And then for the other one, I think we can do that red. There we go. So that's all of our markers done. Now, what do we have here? What are these? These could be crayons, they could be pastels. They're in a box. So let's just say that they are pastels. So for the box, what can we use for the box? Let's do an actual colour for the box. I don't want to keep relying on the browns because we have an awful lot of brown on this palette. So colour for the box could be, how about a blue and a green together? Would these blend nicely? We'll soon find out. Let's see. So if we just start over here with the green and then bring this blue in to have like a gradient box, that'd be quite nice. This is the grass green and the light cobalt turquoise. There we go, that's quite a nice blend, isn't it? So we'll just do the same again over here. That gives us a little bit of difference to look at, even because we're using the same colours. You want to try and use them in different ways. And then let's have a bit of a darker blue for the inside of the box. Then we could put grey actually. So let me just grab coal grey 2, and then that can be the kind of background of the box, the bit that the pastels are sitting in. And then we're free to use all of our bright colours on these pastel sticks. It might be quite fun though to try and use white over the top to make them actual pastel colours. So let's try it. Let's grab the pale geranium lake and let's colour this one, but very, very lightly. And then if we put white over the top, we might get a pastel pinkish colour. Oh, so crumbly. Might have to draw some of these lines back in because the white is bleaching them a little bit. That could be a pastel pink. Let's give it a go with some of the other colours before we decide whether or not to go down that route. So this is already quite a pastel blue anyway, this light cobalt turquoise. We will add a bit of white to it just to make it look even more pastel-y. And then we've got the yellow, which is really quite bright, but the white should tone it down. What else? Orange. So just really, really light layer of your base colour and then your white on top, so that we've got just a tint of the colour. And what else do we have? Purple. So I'll grab that violet colour again. It's probably not quite enough pigment on there. And then we can probably, oh, we haven't got green. Bit of green. And then I do want to just go over those lines again. There we go. So we've got pastel colours in the box. I'm going to say that they are actual pastel coloured pastels. Without clarification from Gem, I don't know. Okay, so we've got a star here. Let's colour that in. Let's start off with our light cadmium yellow for the base, and then we could even use the brown ochre and the walnut to maybe make this into a gold star. We also have those Poscas that Gem very kindly included with this package, so we could have used that as the gold. We could even still do that actually. So let's have a look then. Let's go over that yellow with this gold, and we have a little bit of metallic accents on here That'll be fun. Ah, beautiful. Love Posca pens, love them. Just don't want these pencils to go on them and ruin the ink. Should we do the same on this star too? I think so. Let's get as much glitz and glam on this as we can. There we are. So we've got to be very careful with that now till it dries. We've also got some crystals and gems down here, which obviously stands for our lovely gem. So we could colour those in while we wait for that to dry. Let me think. Let's go for, where's the pale geranium lake? There it is. Let's do this one in a kind of ruby colour, because my little camper van that I've got is called Ruby. So this can be like an amalgamation of ruby and gem. So I've got the pale geranium lake. Probably will need a darker colour if we're going to make it a ruby. Let's bring in the middle cadmium red. Rubies are quite a deep dark red, aren't they? So we'll put some middle cadmium over there. Just leave a little bit of light there. We'll do the same again underneath. Doesn't need to be quite as shiny under there because it's not catching the light as much. So we can use a little bit more of this darker red on that underside. And then as for this bit, we can go the other way and make it mostly very light. So a little bit of dark red. And the rest of it, pale geranium lake. When we come to these facets, really it's up to you. I mean, there are obviously ways of doing it if you think about light refraction and stuff like that. I just put the colours wherever I like. So it's really up to you when you're colouring crystals and gems. If you're not bothered about hyperrealism, then that's all right. I think I will come across the bottom of this one. Just try and do a different direction in every facet of the gem. That works. So we've done that direction. Now let's do going from corner to corner. You might want to make some facets completely block coloured, showing, you know, the light's not getting to that at all and it's just its true colour. You might want to do some, what do they call them? The bits that are sort of like lines in the crystal or in the gem. Inclusions, something like that. It's some kind of word like that. But little faults in the gem. So you might want to do that. Little lines. Maybe just a few little strokes here and there just to show that it's not perfect. Just like that. Then we'll get our white pencil, make sure it's clean. I'm chucking pencils all over the place today. And then we'll use that to smooth out all the shiny bits. And then you know what's coming next? Of course, white. So let me think. You can do these bits of white anywhere, to be honest. Trying to be as straight as I can, but my hands are really shaky and crazy today for some reason. Just put some spots here and there. It's probably not, you know, ideal, but doesn't matter. Still looks like a gemstone to me. Then for the next one, what colour shall we do that? I think we should go purple, you know, because purple is my favourite colour. Let's see. So if I get this mauve, I know we haven't used this before, but it's not too far away from the violet, so I'm not too bothered by that. And then we'll have a bit of it down here. I'm just putting it absolutely anywhere, to be honest. I think the end result is going to look like a gemstone no matter what you really do, so. Then let's go for the violet. And again with the white pencil, which I need to clean off. Get some nice highlights on there. Just grab that mauve back again. Make this a little bit darker. And again with the pen, really not doing too well with my shakes today. There we go. Right then, so I think our Posca pen has dried. That's lovely. I reckon I'm gonna use those reds again, the darker palette of reds that we used for the ruby, to colour this bauble ornament. So again with the middle cadmium red. And the pale geranium lake. So as I said earlier, this will be coming out, this video, after Christmas. So I really hope that you've all had a fantastic time. We certainly need some joy and fun in our lives, don't we? After recent times. So I really hope that you've had a good one. And let's hope for better things for 2023. That's a bit thick. So when I get a bit of a thicker white gel pen than I want, what I do is I get a colourless blender. This is a Prismacolor one, but you can use any. And I make it really sharp. Now you can wait for it to dry. It's usually best to wait for it to dry, actually. And you can shape it up. And this doesn't have any colour in it whatsoever, this pencil. It is just the binder. So you're not going to change or ruin the colour that you've already got underneath. It's a little bit too curved, that is. I want it a bit more like that. There we are. What next? What next? Should we do the pasta? the macaroni cheese. Now I might need to crack out some more colours for this because otherwise it's going to look very strange. Macaroni cheese. Let's try some light yellow ochre. And we're just going to do this in certain places. I might even put a little bit of brown in there as well, just to show the little burnt bits, what we all love. Well, I do anyway. So where's my brown gone? Where's my brown gone? Brown ochre. That might be too light, but I'll bring in some walnut if it is. It's just getting that lovely golden brown baked look to the top of it. We've got the little pieces of macaroni in here as well, but I'm not really going to concentrate on them individually. We're going to just do the bowl as a whole. You always have little bits of burnt around the edge. So where did I put my walnut brown? I can just have a bit here and there. And then I'll use this light cadmium yellow to fill it in. Straight over the top of everything. And more of this brown ochre, because it just looks a little bit too yellow at the moment, so I just want to fade that down a little bit. So just keep adding little crispy bits here and there. I would add some pink for some bacon. Bacon macaroni cheese is immense, but I fear that it might end up looking like a sick bowl. So I'm not going to do that. Just a bit more of this ochre colour. Then we want a grey for the fork to try and make it look silvery. Hey, we could use the other silver Posca. Okay, let's use this silver. See if we can get right into the tines of the fork. This is a really fine point Posca. It is the 1M. So it's not the finest point you can get, but it is finer than like the ones I would normally use, which I think is the 5. I think that looks pretty good. So we've got some gold and silver on there. We'll have some more of that in the other bits of embellishments. But let's see what else. So as for the bowl, I think we should make it a solid colour, that bowl. Because I think if we try and do it, you know, just like a grey with like a piece of crockery, it might end up looking even more like that sick bowl that I was talking about earlier. So I really want to try and move away from that. So what if we have something that's a bit patterned? What if we create a patterned bowl for the pasta? I've got an orange somewhere. I don't really know what pattern we could do. We could just do some swirls, I suppose. Just make it look a little bit Mediterranean. Then we can add some red onto the edges. Go green and do some leaves. Do some little leaves on it. I haven't got a lot of room, but probably don't even look like leaves, to be honest. But it could be some sort of basil, you know, some herb. At least it looks like a bowl, like a soup bowl, and not anything else. Just going to outline these leaves to see if that helps them look more like leaves. Oh, that'll do. That'll do. Maybe I should use a little bit of grey to make this look like it's in the bowl and it's sort of maybe piled high over the top of the bowl, if that makes sense. Might need a little bit darker. I think also once I put some grey drop shadows at the bottom that are being cast from all these things, so it sort of it puts these items on a shelf, so to speak, it grounds them a little bit. I think everything will look a bit better as well. I think at the moment there's a lot of floating things, and that's probably, I just need to do a little bit of shading. So what else? What colour are we going to do the actual box? Because, you know, we're thinking about Christmas present. I mean, it could be any colour really, couldn't it? We could do it blue with silver snowflakes. That might be nice. Let's do that. So let's get our dark blue, which was the phthalo blue. Bit of grey over the top of the blue, just to show that the inside of the box is darker. Got the shadow in there. We're still keeping the blue colour of the box, it's just the grey. We'll desaturate it and deepen it a little bit. Then we've got our middle phthalo blue. So just continuing with the gradient. Then we've got our light phthalo blue, same colours as we've been using all the way through. And then finally, the light cobalt turquoise. Okay, so now that we have completed the front of the box, we can do our snowflakes. So let me grab the silver, and we can do different size snowflakes. And really, you can't go wrong with snowflakes, so that's good. Watch me do it anyway. Let's do a little line diagonally. And then we'll put some little V's on. That's all right. Again, not perfect, but every snowflake is unique, so I refuse to accept that there would not be a snowflake like this somewhere out there. You just never know. Do you know what I have got? I've got these little tiny weeny glittery snowflakes. I wonder if we could also use some of those. Now, do I have glue? I've got nail glue. Will that work? Should do. It's pretty strong stuff. I can give it a go. These are left over from last year when I did the Christmas collaboration in one of Johanna Basford's books. I can't remember if I tried to use this glue and whether it worked or not, but we'll see. Is it going to stick? Is it going to stay? I don't know. Let's do another couple. It certainly is incredibly sticky glue, so I don't know why it wouldn't. Oh, there's two there. Whoops, that's a lot of glue. Oh dear. Oh, I'm not doing well on this, am I? Where's my colourless blender? I can use that to move it across a bit. I wonder if I just cover that in glue. I'm going to be framing this anyway, so I'm not too worried about them falling off. Let's see how that dries. Obviously there's quite a lot on that one. Let's see how it dries. Now there was another one. Ah, it stuck to my fingernail. Let's try and stick you on. Oh, it is incredibly sticky stuff, got to say. So if I just put a dot of that on there and then try and put the snowflake over it, that might help. Just do around the edges to hopefully set it on there. You can tell I'm not really a crafter. Like, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know all the little tips and tricks that card makers and people would probably be screaming at me right now. Well, that's quite nice, isn't it? I think it works. We've got to obviously do the lid as well. So I'll do exactly the same thing on that with the same colours and get back to you. Right, so the lid is done. I think it looks lovely. I love the blue. It looks really frosty and properly wintry. I love it. Now, as I was doing this lid, I had a little glance at the present with my name on it, and I've noticed that, you've probably already seen this, but I've noticed that she has drawn my butterfly hand tattoo onto my present. And I just never noticed it when I first looked at it. And how lovely is that? She's really taken time to think about the things that are unique to me, unique to her, and what brings us together as well as the whole, you know, colouring community. So yeah, really, really love that. Can't believe she's done that. That's lovely. So let's get on and colour that then. So this half of my butterfly is obviously black and white. So let's get our greys out again. We need a darker grey for the edge. So I need the details on here as well. I think I'm gonna make sure this is super sharp, and then we can do some of the wing details. So I'm not going to make it, you know, perfect or anything, but we'll just try and emulate it as much as possible. So we've got some little ovals. Could have done this with a pen actually, with like a pigment liner, but started, so I will finish. Like I say, I'm not doing it perfectly, but it's quite cool to keep looking back and referencing what's on my hand. Not like I don't look at it every single day, but you do forget the details. And now I want a really light grey to go in between, because I don't want to put anything darker than that. It will hide all of the lines that we've just put in and hide the detail. And then, oh, we've also got the centre of the butterfly. I can't believe I didn't notice this when I first saw it. There we go. Just put a tiny little bit of shading in this. I don't want to go overboard. And then the other side is just full of different flowers that I sort of drew off of Johanna Basford's, I think it was the Inky Wonderlands. So I just kind of copied the techniques that she was using to draw flowers. And to be honest with you, I wish I'd have had the entire thing looking like a more realistic butterfly, and then maybe just this side coloured rather than made up of the flowers. It is what it is. I don't regret it. Just, you know, sometimes you wish you'd done different things with your tattoos. So let's see. So I've got a bit of purple that I need to bring in. So let's bring that violet out again, and then this can go around the centre of this flower. And we also have pink. So I am going to have to bring out a pink. This is light magenta, just on the edges. There is a bit of red in the centre, but I just don't know whether I've got enough space to show that. Anyway, it's such a small detail on the page, we don't need to go mad about it. I've also got some other little bits of purple and pink on the tattoo. So I'll just pop those in while I've got the colours out. Again, I'm just going to put some of these lines back in. If I can get my pen to work. These pigment liners are so temperamental. There we go. It does look a little bit muddy because I haven't got a lot of room to work with the pencils, but I think you get the idea of what it is. You definitely will if you watch my channel a lot anyway, which hopefully you do if you are the winner of this. So let's colour the rest of the box then. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a gold bow on this. So let's fill this bow in with gold. So for the actual present itself, I'm going to do a yellowy background for this. Nice and bright, and it should pop with everything else, with the blue especially. So the colour I've got is dark cadmium yellow. do a bit of a gradient over here, and then we'll bring in the light cadmium yellow just right in the centre for a bit of glow. Again, we're sort of emulating the glow of the lights, and it all ties in. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this dark chrome yellow just to the bottom and the edges, deepen that blend a little bit more. And just underneath the bow on the top, because that is overlapping, so we'd have some darker areas under there. There we go. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So we've got to do the tag. I think I'm going to do, which is the lightest red that we've got here? Well, this is an orangey red, but that's fine. This is the light cadmium red. So I'm just going to do that around the edges. And then very lightly blend it in, so we can still see the name on the tag, but it's got that little pop of colour next to the yellow. Fabulous. So we have got to do Gem's present next. So what colour for Gem? Let's see, we could do red for this, because there's not any real red over there, so that would be a good idea. So let's get the reds out. Same thing again really, just colouring a gradient on these boxes. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a pattern with some gel pen on it, but I don't want to take away from what's going on in the main box, so maybe it'd be better to leave it alone. Pale Geranium Lake. So I love how we've got both our Italian influences in here, the colouring, the art, the tattoo, the gems, you know, she's really thought this through. I'm amazed. Beautiful. I think we should do gold as well for, actually we've done gold for Gem's star, so let's do silver for her bow. Fantastic. So what about this bow that's coming out from both edges? That could be something completely different, doesn't have to be attached to any of the parcels, so we don't have to do it in a certain colour. But what colour should we do it in? What about green? We've not had much green lately going on down here, so let's do a green ribbon. It is Christmas, green's a very festive colour. So we'll start with our permanent green, and we'll try and do a bit of a shiny ribbon. So we've got your really dark areas where the light is not shining, and then we're going to try and create the shiny look to the ribbon. Again, by using gradients, that's really all I do in my colouring. It's just different applications of gradients. We've got our next green. You've got your lightest green, but I think I will put in a bit of that yellow lemon just to maximise it. Again, it's going to tie it to the lights at the top. Here we are. Just clean it up a little bit. Make sure that area is really nice and dark. And we'll do the same again on this side. I'm just looking at where this ribbon is sitting. I'm wondering if we would have a bit of a shine like this, just as it comes around. As I say, I'm not the best at figuring out light sources and things like that, so I just do my best. Something like that, would it be? You can't answer me. Just like talking to myself. Maybe something like that. It will turn out all right in the end. So again, just filling in your greens. It doesn't really have to be perfect. That's the thing about it. If you make it effective enough that it looks shiny, the eye's not going to sort of focus on everything that's wrong with it. It's going to focus on everything that's right with it. It's just your eye that does that, you know, as the artist. So try not to worry too much. if you think something's gone wrong, because it's probably the case that no one's going to notice it anyway. So we've got to do Gem's little tag. Let's give Gem a blue tag. And I'll just try and do her name again. There we are. Fabulous, okay. Let's see if there's just any touching up bits that I've got to do on these bows, because sometimes the Posca can go over your lines and they disappear, which is a good thing a lot of the time, because that's what you want to happen. You want to cover up mistakes or get that level of opacity to your work, but then when you don't want it to happen, you've got to go back in and sort any bits out. Oh, I'm really happy with this. So what do we have left to do? We've got this little butterfly, and then we've got our shading, and then we should be done. So with the butterfly, we can do any colour really, can't we? We've got a whole rainbow to work with. Why don't we do a rainbow butterfly? There we go. Let's do a rainbow butterfly. So we're going to have red going into orange. This could be like a watercolour one, so it doesn't have to be, you know, perfectly blended. We've got yellow, we've got this bit of yellowish green, which is going to make the transition to the green a little bit easier. Oh, this is nice. This is like a mango combination. Got a couple of areas where I've dragged some ink onto it, but this is what you get with hand coloured things. It's just not perfect. Let's do the same again at the bottom, and then we could do the other bits of the butterfly in blue. And let's give him a little yellow body so that he sticks out on the top of this blue present. And for the back wings, can we do blue but a little bit darker, or should we do something completely different? What's this? I've got cadmium red. Let's do the back wings in cadmium red. Well, that is the main body of the illustration done. I think we've just got to put a little bit of blue in this hole here, the hole in the palette, with a bit of grey on the top, just to show that that's showing the inside of the box. And then we've got our shading to do. So let's get a medium grey. So I've got this cold grey 3, and then just start to plant shading around your objects. Now again, this is not something I'm amazingly adept at, but I think just putting a little bit in is going to help root and ground the subject to the paper, hopefully. So like I say, I don't know if that's exactly where shadows and shading would be realistically, but I think it's just helped to set it into the page a little bit more. So just over the top of where I've still got my blending solution drying, I'm just using that exact same colour, the cold grey 3, just to add a bit more pigment back in. And then all that will be left to do is to co-sign the piece with Gem, and then send it off to one of you guys. So if you would like to be in with a chance of winning this piece of artwork, which will be framed, you can live anywhere in the world. I will post it out anywhere. And if you want to be in with a chance of winning it, all I'd like you to do is make sure that you are firstly subscribed to myself and Gem's channels. So Colour with Claire, subscribe, The Colour Cave, both on YouTube, subscribe to them both. And once you've done that, I would like you to leave a comment below this video. Any comment really, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you write in there that you would like to be entered into the draw, because I'm going to probably have loads of comments from other people who might not be interested in being entered. So I need to know that you want to enter. So whatever comment you leave below, just make sure you say that you would like to be entered to win this piece of artwork. So I'm excited to have finished it. I'm excited to have been taking part in Cavemas for the first time. I'm so thankful to Gem for inviting me to collaborate with her on this. I'm a massive fan of her channel. I watch her videos all the time. Usually I'm watching Gem's videos when I'm getting my makeup on to go out, you know, just to go out shopping or whatever. But every time I'm doing something like put my makeup on, I need some other stimulation. So I always put a Colour Cave video on, and it's nice just to listen to her lovely accent as I'm getting ready. So yeah, absolutely love Gem, love her channel, love what she's doing for Cavemas. The whole charity part of it is obviously fantastic. So yeah, thank you so much to Gem. Let's just sign this piece of artwork now. Made with Love by Gem and Claire. There we go. Signed, sealed, and it will be delivered. So yeah, enter below if you'd like to join. Thank you again to Gem, and thank you to everybody watching and everybody taking part in Cavemas. Hope you have enjoyed watching this long rambly video and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.